All right, today we are diving into a really interesting philosophy. It's all about finding a practical way to live a better life, not by looking at ancient texts, but through a very modern take on what's going on in society. We're going to be exploring the teachings of Master Chunggung.
It's a question people have been asking forever. It's one thing to talk about big, lofty ideas like truth or enlightenment, but what does that actually mean for us, right here, right now, in our messy, complicated, day-to-day lives? How do you actually do it?
So, to get a handle on this, we're going to look at the lectures of Master Chunggung. He's a spiritual figure from South Korea, and his teachings offer a really practical and sometimes pretty provocative way of looking at our place in the world. So, let's start with his most basic idea.
First things first, we got to be on the same page. So, from this perspective, what exactly is truth?
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. According to Master Chunggung, truth isn't some dusty old rulebook that's set in stone. He says it's more like the living, breathing principles of nature itself, always changing, always moving. And here's the kicker. For it to be true for us, it has to actually work today. It's got to be relevant to our modern lives.
And that's the starting point. He argues that you can't just find some big, grand idea and expect it to magically fix your life overnight. It just doesn't work like that. Real change, the kind that actually lasts, starts with one small, correct action. Then you do another one, and another. It's all about building momentum, one tiny step at a time.
So if the answer is taking small, practical steps, what's the biggest thing getting in our way? Well, in his view, the problem is huge, and he offers a diagnosis that's not just for individuals, but for a whole country. Wow, okay, that's a pretty direct and powerful statement, right? Master Chunggung points his finger at a culture of complaining as the root of the problem. He's basically saying this mindset is what's holding everything and everyone back, stopping any good energy from coming in. And to really drive this home, he paints this picture of two different Koreas. He talks about the past, right after the war, when the country was one of the poorest in the world. People, then he says, were just focused on surviving and building. They didn't have time to complain. But now? He sees a society that's incredibly wealthy by comparison, yet complaining has become the go-to response for even the smallest problem. The point isn't about the conditions, it's about the mindset. Okay, so if the problem is a mindset of complaint, what's the solution for you and me? This brings us to a really core idea in his teachings for how to make actual progress in your life. He calls it the 70% rule. So here's how the 70% rule works. Think about any tough goal you've ever had. That first 30% of the work is just awful. It's a total uphill climb. But if you can just push through to that 70% mark, something magical happens. That's the tipping point. After that, the project kind of gets a life of its own. It starts to move forward without you having to struggle and fight for every single inch. And this, right here, is the trap so many of us fall into. We put in a little bit of effort, maybe 10–20%, and then we look around, wondering where our big reward is. When it's not there, we quit. But we quit right before hitting that critical 70% mark, where all the real results start to show up. It's really a lesson in sticking with it. Now, let's zoom out a bit, because Master Chungung's teachings weren't just about making your own life better. They're tied to what he sees as a huge historic mission for the entire Korean people. He uses this really specific word, chansan. It translates to descendants of heaven. And in his view, that's not just some fancy title. It means that these people have been given a very special, a very profound job to do for all of humanity. So what is this big mission? Well, he describes it as becoming the parents of humanity. And in this vision, he lays out very specific roles. Men are supposed to lead the physical world with strength, and women are meant to guide with wisdom and direction. He argues that it's the combination of these two roles working together that's needed to bring the world into a new age. So the obvious question is, why hasn't this new era started yet? Well, according to the teachings we're looking at, Master Chungung's reasoning is that the whole mission is kind of stuck. He says that while men have built up the country's physical and economic strength, women haven't yet stepped into what he sees as their true role, to provide that wisdom and guidance. And that creates an imbalance that's holding society back. And this brings us to the final and maybe most important part of his message. If this is the mission, and that's the problem, then who's supposed to fix it? And how do we even start? His answer is not vague at all. He points directly to one group, the nation's elders, specifically the baby boomer generation that's now retiring.
He's basically saying, you built this country, you have a lifetime of experience, and now it's your duty to step up and lead this next transformation, to act as the real elders of society.
But here's the thing. It's not about going off to a mountaintop to find yourself. The core idea is that you can't be truly happy if the world around you is a mess. The only way forward is to do it together. The goal isn't for a few special people to become enlightened masters. It's for the whole community to get better together. And that brings everything right back to the beginning, doesn't it? This huge, world-changing mission, it starts the exact same way personal change does, not with some giant leap, but with small, steady steps that we all take together. It's a message about being patient and working as a team. So, this leaves us with a really big question to think about. Master Changong's ideas are all about changing your own individual mindset first. But he also lays out this very structured, grand plan for all of society. So where does real change actually start? Does it begin inside of us, or do we have to fix the systems we've all built together? It's definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining us.